G'day, welcome to SA Wine Weekly. I'm your host, Nathan Goad. On SA Wine Weekly, we go through three amazing wines. We taste the wines, we pair them with delicious foods. We've got the winemaker with us to ask questions about. If you ask a decent question or put a decent comment up, you can win the bottle of wine. Stay tuned toward the end of the show as well, because we have an amazing deal for the wine lovers. On today's show, we have an amazing guest. She grew up in the Mclaren Flat area, right next to the Scarpantonis, worked the cellar door from 15 years of age. And then she went on to university to do a winemaker's degree. And then flew off into the skies as a flight attendant with Qantas, had great success there. Came back, started Fall from Grace Wines. We're so lucky to have Gill Gordon Smith. Welcome, Gill.
Thanks, Nathan. Good to be here. Good to be here talking to everyone.
Excellent. So we've brought in three wines. Let's get straight. I'm hanging out.
You're hanging out. Okay.
So tell me the three that you brought with you.
Okay. So the three wines that I brought tonight are Skin Contact Arneis. I don't know if anyone's tried orange wine, but this is what we would consider to be an orange wine. Not oranges in the wine, but just orange in colour. So it's an oxidised white, but it's going to be really interesting for you to try. And Arneis is an Italian grape variety. We have a Montepulciano Rosato, which is a little bit heavier than a rosé. So it's a really classic Italian style that I make here in South Australia. And the other one's called Catnip, and Catnip is a blend, and that's our little fun blend, which is a blend of Carignan, which is a French variety from the south of France that we grow down at Langhorne Creek. It has Nero and a little bit of Shiraz from Blewett Springs, so it's a really interesting little blend. So probably some of the wines you may not, or grapes you may not have tried before, but really worth looking out.
Oh, I'm so excited to get into
it.
Let's
try this. So this is...
are you going to pour?
I'll pour for you. Yeah, I'm good at this.
Like you usually do?
Yeah, I know. God, it takes me back to being a hostie. So...
Whoa, look at that.
Whoa.
A bit more. We're not tasting.
You want a bit more?
Yeah, no,
okay.
We're drinking.
You don't have to drive anywhere?
No.
Okay. So this is Arneis. And normally you might see this as a very fresh, crisp style wine, but I make it in a really interesting style.
I can smell it without even...
Yeah, I know when you came down to the winery, you saw those big clay pots that I have there.
Yeah.
So I make these in a 300-litre big clay amphora, which is a really old Italian way of doing this. It's a very ancient way.
So, hang on a minute. We're talking big clay pots.
300 litres, clay pots. And we have half of the wine goes through a normal sort of winemaking process in normal big fermenters, and then the other half of those grapes go into 300-litre clay pots, and they sit there for about 3 months, and then we
I'm still not working out clay pots. Oh, here we are. The massive
look,
pots.
You can see my massive pots.
Yeah.
My very expensive massive garden pots, but they're a little bit different than a normal garden pot. I have these specifically made for me, and you can see here. You've got the skins just in contact with the juice, and these skins sit there for about 3 months, and then I press off, and I'm actually going to be pressing those this weekend, and then it will be mixed up with the other wine that I make sort of in a fairly traditional way. So it's really interesting, and one thing is the colour.
I know when you said orange wine, when we were down in the winery, I was expecting, being the novice, I was expecting it to taste like orange. But the colour, I've never seen anything like it.
Probably another name for this would be amber wines. So orange wines or amber wines. But what they really are, it's just a white wine that's made like a red wine. So you leave the skins in contact with the juice, probably the same way that you would do with a red wine to get the colour. And so it actually acts sort of as a preservative. And it gives it this really interesting aroma. And it's probably a red wine drinker's white.
That is a great way to... I noticed that dryness at the end, and it reminded me of a red wine.
Yum. That's pretty cool. So what do you think of this?
Oh, blown away. I've never had anything like it whatsoever. The smell, totally different. Totally different.
It's got a lot of spice. And
it has, but...
Yeah, and those tropical fruits.
The tropical fruits of a white wine. But then, yeah, it's totally different than I've ever experienced before, and I actually really like it.
Have you tried sherry before?
I have tried sherry.
So it's got sort of the nose almost of a sherry. It's slightly oxidised, but on the palate, really clean. In your mouth, it's really clean and crisp.
Amazing.
No spittoon on this show.
No. well, we're not a wine tasting show.
No, it's fantastic.
So we actually drink the wine. So rather
Well-
than just taste it, we're going to drink it. And then we're going to also pair it with some food as well.
Oh, that's pretty exciting.
So if you've got any questions out there,
Yeah, come in with any questions.
asked you any questions. You've got to have questions about orange wine. You have to. So, something I prepared a little bit
Oh,
earlier.
I have to put my glasses on for this, definitely.
So, what
looks
we've
really
got here is we have, I hope you like it, I didn't check first,
That's
but
all right.
we've got
Little go.
octopus,
See?
crispy octopus,
Right.
crispy potatoes
Yep.
with rocket and cherry tomato.
This is fantastic. Who made this? Where
This
was
is from the locals.
Yeah,
Don't tell everyone.
fantastic.
They're just down the street on
Yeah.
Beach Road, and authentic Italian cuisine. And we gave him some bottles of your wine.
Oh, fantastic.
I need you to being the Italian expert. Let's hear how you pronounce it, not without a mouthful.
I'm just shoving all that in my mouth. Okay. Trattoria Di Roma.
Angelo, magnificent
Fantastic.
guy, absolute
Ciao,
legend,
Angelo.
and fell in love with your wines. And
He's Italian, of course.
This is his pairings. So we gave him the
Fantastic.
wine, and he's come up with what he
Awesome.
would actually.
And this is a really good pairing with this particular style of wine. So this is a wine that will go with either red or white meats, but really fantastic with seafood, especially with a bit of char on it.
Absolutely delicious. Hard to chew, crispy,
It's gorgeous.
beautiful texture. Oh, we got our first question.
Ah, okay, Greg. How long does it take to produce? That's a really good question, Greg. So probably this wine, about a year in barrel. So after we've made it, so it goes into barrel for a year. But the part that's made with the skins of the grapes that we leave in contact with the skins, I leave that for an extra 3 months. So around about 12 to 15 months by the time we release it. And it's been in some pretty awesome places around Australia. So I'm really happy. And I took this wine to Italy, not last year, the year before, and I showed it at a really big wine festival there called Indigena. So I sort of took the coals back to Newcastle. But yeah, about between 12 and 15 months, depending on how it feels and how it tastes, because I do everything by taste.
Excellent. So you took the wine you made in Mclaren Vale over to the Italians.
Back to the Italians, it was awesome, and I
And they loved it?
They loved it. I wasn't kicked out of the country, which was fantastic.
It is absolutely superb. How well did the octopus go with it?
It matches perfectly because the octopus has some savoury characters, and this wine has some great savoury characters to it.
Yeah, excellent. Well, don't hold back on the questions. Fire the questions through. You got to have some on orange wine.
Has anyone tried any orange wines before? Because there's some fantastic orange wines out there at the moment.
And other South Australian producers
Yeah,
making it?
Kaleski make a really fantastic orange wine.
They're
They're in the
Barossa,
Barossa.
yep.
There's a lot of people around Mclaren Vale, especially those smaller producers now making orange wines. Have you broken into the Dutch market? No, not yet.
Great idea, though. Great idea.
We don't make enough, unfortunately, because it's really, really quite time-consuming to make this, and it's.
So I guess we need to explain that to the punters out there that you are a very small batch.
We are tiny.
Yep.
We are really, really tiny. We're minimal intervention. We don't add we don't add anything to our wines apart from a little bit of sulphur, and that's it. So if you've got allergies, these sorts of wines, these are, basically sulphur-free.
And you said it was in restaurants?
Yeah, it's in some great restaurants like Momofuku Seibu in Sydney and Cutler & Co. Fino Vino had this on the pour. So Sharon Romeo is an amazing local who has a restaurant in the Barossa and also a restaurant in the city. So it's done pretty well. It's been a lot of great bottle shops, and I'm really, really happy with it. It's been on some good lists. It's been on Arana, all sorts of places.
So if the locals from South Australia wanted to get a bottle of it?
Just at the cellar door.
Just at your cellar door?
Only at the cellar door. We keep a little bit back for the cellar door, so if you ever want to come in and try it, we're about to reopen on the 13th of June for tasting. So we'll always open a bottle for you,
Excellent.
and we'll
So
talk you through it.
you've got to explain to me more. We need questions, people.
To
We're
win
interactive.
this wine. I've just got to tell you, this wine actually got number 4 in the Drink Easy Awards for orange wines in Australia, and was number 6 in the Hot 100 in 2014.
Wow.
So it's done pretty well. So if you want to win this, there really isn't that much of it.
You
So
have
ask
to-
a good question.
Yeah, you'd have to want to win it, really, if you've never had an orange wine before. So we are totally interactive. Flick your questions through. Jill's here to answer them. Tell me why Italian? What drew you to Italian wines?
Italian grapes. Well, growing up in Mclaren Vale next to Scarpontoni's, I spent a lot of my time in Paula's kitchen eating, and I was flight attendant with Qantas for 20 years, so I spent a lot of time travelling internationally, and I fell in love with Italy, its wines, its people, its grapes, and I decided to, when I came back and started to make wine again, Italian varieties were just something that really worked well in Mclaren Vale, because they're grapes that don't need a lot of water, they handle the heat, and they're fantastic for drought conditions. So for me, they're also very textural, savoury, and they're great with food. So that's why I decided to use Italian varieties. And plus everyone else was making wonderful Shiraz and Cabernets, and I couldn't compete with that, and I didn't want to, because Italian grapes and Italian wines are my passion.
It's mine had a hole in it for some reason.
Yours does have a hole in
Did
it.
have these brand new glasses. Oh, Shane Lester.
Shane Lester. It'd be fantastic. Which one, Shane? What's the Italian eatery on Beach Road?
He's talking
another
about
one.
Angelo's.
Oh, Angelo's.
Yes.
It works. Angelo's already tested this. It works really well with Angelo's wine.
Oh, Angelo would...
with Angelo's food.
If there was enough.
Delicious.
Oh, he would love it.
Yeah.
And his food is superb.
Oh, why fall from grace? That was a good question. Okay. I get asked this a lot. Fall from Grace is the name of my label because I left a really high-paying job travelling the world in the aviation industry to come into the wine industry and not make much money, but it was all about passion. So someone said to me, "Oh, Jill, that's a fall from grace." And so I thought that's a really good name for a winery, Fall from Grace. So that was my fall from grace, which to me means jumping without a parachute into something you're passionate about. So we should have more fall from graces.
Well, we're talking about that. SA Wine Weekly and Achieve Video Marketing would be exactly the same thing. Maybe I should have called the video company that.
But no, I'd have to sue you then.
True.
So it's
Fall from Grace Video, no, it probably doesn't work. Not quite as well as a wine. So tell me, we started off in Mclaren Vale. I remember way back when, a tiny...
When you were a little guy?
Well, I don't think anyone will believe I was little, but
Yeah, you were.
True. When you first started off in the main street of Mclaren Vale?
I was in the tiny shop where Half Cut Hair is. That was us next to Blessed Cheese.
Yeah, next to
That was
Blessed
my
Cheese.
first shop when I left flying. And I started a bottle shop in Mclaren Vale that sold organic, biodynamic, international wines and natural wines. So it was a really interesting premise to start a bottle shop on. And we've then moved into somewhere bigger at Wollonga, and then finally we've had our last move to Aldinga. So we're just at the Temperance Precinct.
We'll go
Next to
through
Gladys,
Aldinga
yeah.
in a minute, because what an amazing place.
Yeah, it's pretty
come
cool,
and hang
isn't
out and
it?
have a glass of wine
It's really cool.
and learn about wine.
Absolutely.
But I reckon we'll shortly be announcing the winner, and maybe if I could bribe Jerry not to put it up, I could just keep it for myself or re-gift
You've got
it.
contacts, so
Yes,
it's okay.
I do have contacts, it's true.
You've got contacts in the industry.
So we've got Holly Jane.
Hey, Holly, it looks delicious and it tastes delicious.
I think she's really going to enjoy it.
So you're going to have to come down to the cellar door and have a good tasting and see what orange wines are all about.
Yeah, come down and
And it goes really well with this.
yeah, maybe
Perfect.
come down via Angelo's.
Via Angelo's, absolutely.
Yeah, and then say good day to Angelo. Say that you saw him on SA Wine Weekly with his awesome crispy octopus.
really gorgeous.
Isn't it? I'm actually struggling because I just want to eat it. And it's a
You're
bit
being
difficult.
very restrained.
I am being quite
I think
restrained.
we've got a few more courses to get
We
through
do have
there.
a few more courses and a few more beautiful wines, but I must say this wine is absolutely amazing.
Thank you. I'm pretty
So
happy with that.
now you're not a huge social media fan, are you?
No, I'm not. We don't do a lot. Look, it's not we're not a huge social media fan, but we're just a bit we're just very niche and we're really small and we really like to be inclusive and you know, not to be snobby about wine, but we are really tiny and I like it that way.
Well, but you do have Facebook, Instagram,
We've got
Twitter.
Facebook, Instagram, so Fall from Grace Wine. Oh, Holly, did Holly win that?
Holly won.
Yay!
She looks rather happy as well.
You're going to love it. Awesome.
She is going to love
I'm
it.
so glad that you've got that wine. Fantastic.
Well done, Holly. So, yeah, I really want to jump into the next bottle of
Oh,
wine.
okay.
So
Allora, are you going to open that one for
I'm
me?
gonna open it with my Harcourt's. Just not a blatant plug or anything. Just my Harcourt's. Thanks, Coddy and Carly. Bottle opener that they slipped into my fridge without me knowing.
Aha.
So we're gonna crack it open like a beer.
And you can see the wings on the label.
Yep.
That's a direct representation of my old hosty wings.
Ah.
So hence...
I thought it was angelic.
No, I'm not angelic at all, never have been. But this is, this is my sort of nod to my old hosty days with the wings. Okay, this one's going to be really interesting because this has got a beautiful colour.
You're my guest, but
Like
you can pour,
okay.
yeah.
So what we're looking at here is a Montepulciano,
Yeah.
which is, you know, in Australia we like to shorten things. So
It's a Monty.
you can call it Monty.
Yeah, I'm going to have to call it Monty.
And Monty is such a great variety for the Flurio. It really is. And I get to taste an awful lot of different wines from the Flurio
Yeah.
because I am the wine writer for Flurio Living. So
Yeah,
I
was going to mention
Yeah.
that. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, I've been writing for Fluoro Living for about 4 years now, but I've written for a lot of publications before that,
Yeah.
including Italianicious, another Italian.
An Australian writing
connection.
for an Italian.
It was actually an Australian
Ah,
magazine, for
okay.
quite a long time. But this is Montepulciano, and it's originally from the Abruzzo region, and there's an awful lot of people in Mclaren Vale that come from Molise or Abruzzo, and it's made into this gorgeous wine called Ceresuolo d'Abruzzo, and this Ceresuolo means little cherry, and you can see from the colour,
Yeah, it's very cherry,
it's
isn't it?
really cherry.
I was thinking the colour's very different.
Mm.
It's a lot lighter, and you turn it over on the white to see.
Yeah, and if you have a look
Yeah.
on the white, you can see right through this. You can see your fingers through it, so it's a little sort of like the same sort of colour as a Pinot.
Well, we could talk about Pinots for hours.
I know you love Pinot.
My
But-
favourite.
This one really does. Montepulciano's got those lovely cherry aromatics. It
Oh,
smells
it has
like
this-
cherry. It just makes you want to dive in and drink it.
It does. Well, let's
Drink it. Let's try it.
Oh, that's a little bit dangerous.
This is.
Oh.
I have a word for wines like this: smashable.
Smashable. That is a great.
These are smashable wines. So these are really on a drinkability scale.
Yeah.
You could put this right up there because it's so drinkable, it's so gluggable, it's so smashable. So
We
very
of
technical terms.
course we always drink responsibly
Absolutely.
on SA Wine Weekly.
But can I tell you, these wines are low in alcohol. So this wine is only 13% alcohol.
Doesn't taste it.
No, it's
Not
got
at
a
all.
lot of flavour.
I'm hanging out to see what Angelo's paired with it anyway.
Did Angelo try this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, Angelo. Good choice.
I actually wouldn't have picked this myself, but geez, it looks all right.
It
Doesn't
looks fantastic. I can see the mussels. So this is the risotto.
This is the Risotto Marinara.
Oh, fantastic. This is going to go really well with this particular wine, I think, before we've even tried the food, because this wine has good acidity. It really makes your mouth wet. It
Yeah.
makes you salivate. And
So-
this is going to go so well with that.
Explain to laymen like myself and maybe some people that are watching that we talked about the tannins in the first wine, which
Sure.
made it dry.
So tannins dry all of the saliva out of your mouth. They make your mouth really dry, and they leave a sort of furry sensation, whereas acid makes your mouth wet. So if you do a dribble test, so if you sort of taste this wine, tip your head forward, your mouth still keeps getting wet.
Yep.
So it produces saliva.
And is that actually a thing?
And that's acidity.
No, a dribble test.
Well,
Is that something
when
you
I'm
know?
teaching,
Yeah.
I use the dribble test to teach people about acid. So the more spit, the more saliva you get, the more acidic the wine.
Oh, hang on, we've got
pretty easy.
Adam Normington.
Love a smashable wine, absolutely.
I think he would really enjoy it. He's a bit of a connoisseur,
Ah,
Adam, and he would really enjoy this wine.
and Michelle?
And Michelle,
She likes smashable wines too. Good on you,
Michelle was on last week and she cooked the amazing burgers.
Oh, I missed burgers, but
You-
I'm really happy with this.
well,
Because
yeah,
you know
we're
what I'm
pretty
like with
lucky.
Italians.
If we had a fork to go with it, we'd probably be pretty good.
Ah,
We
oh,
could
we
use a spoon. Oh. We're not a
Thanks,
we're not a
Nathan.
dining etiquette show, are
No,
we?
we're not. That's fine. I've had too many meals standing up in aircraft cabins.
Yeah, as you would have.
Yum. Really amazing flavour. If we had smell-o-vision and taste-o-vision, you'd really love this. Quite rich.
We got a shout out. I'll keep calling it Angelo's. Angelo's the owner.
Trattoria Di Roma.
Yeah, well, Australian. Trattoria Di Roma.
Yeah, which just means trattoria
What-
of Rome. Is Angelo from Rome?
I think he is.
Oh, fantastic.
I think he just pretends to be wherever his Italian guests are from. The other week I heard he was from Malfetta, and then I heard he was from Sicily. He's just playing along with
love
whoever.
Sicily.
He's just playing along with whoever's there. Mind you, when we went to collect the meal, absolutely full.
With social distancing.
Well, you can't have many people in there, but he's was absolutely full, and there was people getting knocked back.
Angelo,
And this
It's
is the reason
fantastic.
why, isn't it? I wouldn't have picked seafood.
it's fantastic. But
It
can
is,
you see
isn't it?
with the prawns, with the richness of that stock and those mussels, it's going really well with this wine. So you don't just pair white wines with, white meats or red wines.
That's something I've
Try
learned.
everything.
That's something I've learned. And I think
Yeah.
Anna was the first one to bring it up when she came on. It's not all about. There's no rules. It's
There's
what
no
you
rules.
like, and this is what Angelo obviously had the wine and went. This is what's going to go with it.
And sometimes it's the most interesting and unusual pairings that really make a dish and really make that food and wine match.
So while I tuck into this and give you a question to answer, so I can eat, would be you're right into the wine education.
Yes, so I was actually 2017 Wine Communicators of Australia, Wine Educator and Wine Communicator of the Year. And so I run a big wine school for TAFE SA called the Wine and Spirits School, TAFE SA, and I've been teaching from way back in Qantas days when I run the Sommelier in the Sky program there. So that's my other passion is education. So I get to travel the world talking about education, and I run the wine school here with some fantastic lecturers. So
And is it online or?
we do both. So we do
Do both?
face-to-face, currently online because of COVID.
Oh yeah, no, got no
But
choice. have we?
so we teach all across the state. So and in Mclaren Vale, we teach, Herbray, we teach in the regions. It's fantastic. So it's a
So-
really great school.
Who would be one of your favourite people that you've taught? Students. Who would be one of your
I've
favourite
got a lot.
students?
That's really hard
Just
to like
let's
out
get-
there because
oh.
I love them all, and I've got some really amazing students. Katie Spain was one of my students. She was an amazing student.
Yeah.
So Katie writes for the Advertiser, and Merrick Watts. He's my favourite student because he's my naughtiest student. Trying to keep him in line was not easy.
So we are giving this bottle of wine away while we're chatting about it.
Yeah.
And so a few more questions, a few more comments. We are interactive. You've got Jill
delicious.
here. Pick her brain while she's here.
Ask me anything.
About-
and
actually, let
I'll
me
tell you
reframe
the
that.
truth. Ask me anything about wine
Ask her anything about wine. Yeah. Well, I'm glad we picked that up.
or shopping or shoes. We can do that as well.
Well, yeah, true.
But no, ask me anything about wine that you want to know, and I'll give you. Can you buy online? Yes, we do have an online shop. Just fullfromgrace.com.au. You can go straight through to that, or you can come and see us as from the 13th. So we're down, and you can just pop in and see us and do a tasting, and we'll talk you through some wines, let you have a taste through what we've got.
I reckon that going down to see you is the best way.
Yeah, you get us there, and everybody in the shop's really passionate about wine. They're not snobby. They're really going to give you some good information and steer you in the right direction. And it's not expensive. We have from really reasonably priced wines through to really expensive wines.
Yeah, but you've got some amazing wines at around the $30, $35.
Everything's around $30.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good sweet spot for finding really good quality wines, but you'll find wines you won't find anywhere else in our shop.
So going back to the wine, what Italian influence have you drawn in making this wine?
Okay, well, firstly, the grape is
Yep.
Montepulciano and where it comes from. And secondly, I have a very good friend called Cristiana Tiberio, who's a fantastic winemaker in Abruzzo in Italy. And I always loved her wine. And I said to her, I really want to make a Montepulciano Rosato. So she was very kind and assisted me with making this in in the best possible way. And this has been one of our favourite wines. This sells out all the time. It's in some really great restaurants.
Excellent.
Yeah, and it's so drinkable.
Oh, I know. Not that the orange wine wasn't.
No, but this one's really easy to drink.
Oh, it is. And as my first sip, my answer was it's dangerous. But
I know. And look, half a bottle's almost gone.
I know. Smash.
Smashable.
Smashable
It's
wine.
smashable. So, Luke, what do you think's the most common mistake people make re wine? I think they worry too much what other people think. And
Very good point.
they really worry about how to describe wines. And with all of our students, I think that's the thing that people get most concerned about is how do I describe what I like? And I think the best thing is to talk to your bottle shop person, talk to your sommelier if you go out and there's one in your restaurant, and go into a cellar door and just ask questions and don't be embarrassed. Never ever be embarrassed. If someone treats you badly and won't give you an answer that makes you feel comfortable and makes you feel embarrassed to be in that cellar door, just walk. Take a
Go to
walk.
another one.
Go to another one.
Plenty of them.
Yep. And you never stop learning.
True.
Really good question.
That was a great question.
It's a great question.
Good work, Luke. Shane?
Oh, being a wine drinker, I'm being educated tonight. Top guest. Oh, thank you, Shane.
I didn't have much nice to say about the host, but yeah. Can't see Shane winning. Talk about the host, mate, and then you might have a chance of winning. But no, true. That's and the education. I'm going to do your course.
You really look. It's fantastic.
Right. So Jerry's just been whipping. So
It's winding us up.
Yeah, he's telling us about the cellar door video. So tell me about.
Okay.
We touched on it all, Dinga.
Yeah. Oh, look. Here's my gorgeous cellar door. We're really different than a normal cellar door. I open Friday nights. Not during COVID, from 5 till 9, so one night a week, and then we're open Saturdays, Sundays, or you can come by appointment. But our cellar door's really different. You'll get to talk to people, meet people from the wine industry, people who don't know anything about wine. Everybody's welcome. We have a small producer every week and we look at their wines, not just mine, because I'm really here to support other people in the industry.
Excellent.
And you come in, it's pretty busy, it's a lot of fun, and we always have something different. So you'll get to try wines before you buy them, and we sell at retail prices to drink in, not at restaurant prices. So it's a really good event.
So, we've got a question.
Why the pressure cap and not a screw cap? Good question. Two reasons. One, I really wanted to make this wine approachable and look really approachable. So it's in champagne bottles, so the bottle's really expensive, but I used the crown seal because I wanted people just to be able to just open it during the week and drink it with their food and not feel like they had to keep it. When am I open? So we open Saturday and Sunday, so Saturday the 13th, just for tastings. So we've got, I think we can have 10 people, so we've got some seats there and you can do a seated tasting. And then we're open again on Friday night from the 3rd. So the 3rd of July we'll be reopening again because we normally have about 50 to 100 people there on a Friday night. It's such good fun.
And just to describe where it is, I guess I would say coming from down south into Aldinga.
And you've got the
pub on the right.
Pub on the
new,
right.
New pub on the left.
And then the new bottle shop
New
on
bottle
the
shop,
left. Yeah.
straight across the road.
Then go across to the better bottle shop across the road, which is mine.
Oh, of course.
And then you've got that beautiful old building where you've got Miss Gladys.
Yeah.
And then you've got, it's now called the Temperance Precinct. We've got Maxwell's, one of my neighbours, and then Little Road.
And Maxwell's, not Maxwell Wines.
No, Maxwell's the coffee shop.
Yeah.
And then we've got a Little Road studio there, and then we've got Sage House. So it's a really beautiful precinct. So you can do some shopping. You can either sit and have a glass of wine at our place while someone else shops, which is always a nice thing, or a beer.
Good for the husbands.
And the wives.
Yeah, well, true. if the husband likes shopping.
Yeah, and then...
so our third wine for tonight.
This is my favourite little blend. So I work with a...
is that cats on the label?
It's cats on the label. It's really gorgeous little kittens playing. So what this is all about, this is a blend. And this is probably the first blend we've ever made. And I have a really fantastic young winemaker who's also the distiller for Never Never, Jess, who came on board for this collaboration, because I like to collaborate with gorgeous young people who are passionate. And we made this one called Catnip, because once you start drinking it, you can't stop. So
right, it's like the cats with the catnip.
So this is a blend of Carignan, which is a southern Rhone varietal, so the south of France, just down the bottom.
Yeah. Oh, not Italian.
Well, that's one grade.
Okay.
But it is in Italy as well.
Oh, okay.
Because it's in Sardinia, called Carignano. And then it's got Syrah from Blewett Springs from Mark Day's vineyard. It's a fantastic Syrah. And then a little bit of Nero d'Avola, which is a Sicilian variety that we grow in Mclaren Vale. So Catnip is a really disgustingly smashable, drinkable and gluggable blend.
That's what this is.
And the cats are very cute.
People can see.
You can see those gorgeous cats.
Yeah. That's a great label.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And
Isn't it?
my label, the people who design my labels are amazing. So they're two Indigenous graphic designers who walked into the shop one Friday night and said, "We really love your wines. We want to do a wine label." And I was just about to redo my labels, and I had a chat with them. And the next minute, the girls came up with some amazing labels. So yeah, Catnip.
Oh, geez, there's a lot going on in this glass.
This is bigger. This is bigger and juicier.
Yeah. I had to go back for a third crack. There's a lot going on in that glass.
There's a lot. I know. When we made this wine, you can see the colour. It's a really deep colour. It embodies all the...
Hang on, what did you teach me before?
So let's have a look. Can you see? You can't see your fingers through it as much, can you?
No, I'm not quite seeing as well as I was at the start of the show.
If you look over the top, it's really hard to see the join between the stem and the...
Oh, yeah?
And the bowl. So this is a really deep ruby colour.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's probably more Mclaren Vale. It's really more old school Mclaren Vale in that it's just in its style, in that it's juicy and rich, and it has those really nice, some nice texture. A little bit more alcohol in this one.
Yeah, no, you can taste that straight away. The smell of it though, smells oaky to me.
And it hasn't got any oak.
Or earthy. Earthy might
Earthy
be a
is
bit.
a really good word to describe it because it's got some lovely sort of savoury, earthy sort of notes. But for me, it's all about juicy, bright fruit, and it's very textural, and it's quite slippery. It's one of those slippery, satiny wines that, yeah, you don't want to drink too much of this because it's 14.5%, but, you know, a bottle will go down pretty quickly.
Well, I'll be the judge of that.
And this is why I call it catnip, because once you have some of it, you start to have quite a lot of fun.
Right, because it's a little bit stronger. Is that why?
A little bit, yeah, and it's a bit juicier, and it's a little bit more sort of...
well, it does a lot in the mouth.
Oh, it does.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, we make flavourful wines, and wines should taste of grapes because that's what they're made from.
Definitely. So,
okay, what have we got
I'm
here?
hanging out to see what Angela's done for us. I'll show everybody out there before we get into it, but look at that.
Nathan's been desperate to get into this.
I have.
So's everybody else.
So it looks like someone else has really got into it.
I think they've really got stuck into it.
So what we have here,
See?
lamb, pistachio, on a bed of mashed potato, crispy carrots.
So a lot more going on in this dish, so you can put a wine with it that's got a lot more going on.
All right.
Yeah, so probably those other two wines we've had would have been lost with this dish.
So
whereas this works really perfectly because you're matching the sort of like amount of flavour.
So you think the others would have been overpowered by the dish?
I think they would be overpowered by the dish, whereas I think this will work really well.
Right.
Can I have a fork?
Yeah.
Nathan.
No.
Come on.
No, you can't.
No, he's just getting stuck into it now. Let me have a little taste of this because I think this is going to really work.
Oh.
You'll have to eat most of the meat because I'm not a big meat eater. But I'm
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
What a shame.
Isn't it? Plenty of seafood for you. Wow, that's cooked absolutely perfectly. And
And it is because it's pink. Should be pink.
Good Italian restaurant cooking Australian lamb.
Oh no, that's really delicious.
Isn't it?
I've got to tell you my food and wine matching philosophy.
Oh, please do.
It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
If you think about green wines, things like, if I said to you, what would you say would be a green wine if you had to put it into a colour? Probably something like Sauvignon Blanc or Riesling.
Yeah.
They go with green foods. So lots of things like salads or things that have goat's cheese or something that's really fresh. They're the sort of wines that go really well. Pink wines, and this is a really pink wine, goes really well with meat that has that pink tinge to it.
Yeah.
So, that matches really well with those sorts of...
I think Angelo might know his food.
Yeah, he's
and I reckon he knows his wine, hasn't he? He's done a great job.
He loves Italian grapes.
So we need some more questions because you can win this
really,
amazing
really,
wine.
It's drinking really well tonight.
Isn't it? And match with this food.
Because this food's got a bit of richness and this wine has a little bit of richness.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky to have him actually drink the wines and make something to fit it. This is a special that he's made tonight,
It
and then he's put on the menu
really
as well. It's sensational. What a great job he's done. We'll give him another plug in a minute. But So we need some questions.
About catnip.
About the catnip.
Or anything. Ask me anything.
Yeah, ask anything about Italian wines, about how many times you've been to Italy. That'd be good.
Oh, how many times I've been to Italy? Oh, about 100 times.
100 times.
I probably I used to go, not anymore because we're stuck here. This is the time of the year that what do you think sets McLaren Vale apart? Okay, that's a really good question. And what I love about McLaren Vale Shiraz is I think it's a little bit more fruit-driven than the Barossa, in the Barossa you tend to get a lot more oakier Shiraz. I think we've got that lovely moderating influence of the sea in McLaren Vale, so we can make very different Shiraz from very different parts of McLaren Vale. So I think we've got diversity, and we've also got amazing flavour and some of the oldest vines in the world in McLaren Vale. And I think our Shiraz is exceptional. We'll never, ever stop making Shiraz or Cabernet, but these other varieties are something that adds to the discussion and gives you, some more words to put into our lexicon of talking about wines. So, McLaren Vale Shiraz is exceptional.
I think pretty much all the guests, except for Luke, because he didn't know a great deal about wine, he came on last week, have mentioned that Shiraz is so good in McLaren Vale because it comes from different places.
Yeah,
and it's not very far away, whether it be Selix Hill. Oh, hang on.
Nathan Goad really needed his arm twisted to eat the largest share of that plate of food. That's Aaron with that question. Nathan, have you got a response?
I just would like to know who's producing this show, really, to put a question like that up. Thanks very much, Aaron. Much appreciated.
He's hungry lad. Joe. Hey, Joe, could you put this one in the cell? Now, Joe, you've asked a really good question because I just did a little chat on what wines you should age and what wines you should drink now. And I'm going to tell you this wine is probably one that I would recommend that you drink between now and the next 2 years. I don't think it's a wine for cellaring because it doesn't have a lot of tannin.
Right,
it's fruity and delicious, but it doesn't have a lot of tannin. So if you're going to age wines, you really need to either have tannin, the stuff that dries your mouth out, or acidity. And some wines are just made to be drunk now. So something like a Sauvignon Blanc is fresh and fruity and looks really good when it's young. I mean, a lot of us looked really good when we were young. And then a wine that has a lot of tannin and has some oak to it is probably a wine that you would like to age a little bit more because it's got structure to age. But this sort of wine, drink it now because it's at its best. It's fruity, it's fresh, it's got good acidity, it's juicy, it's textural, and let's face it, not all wines are meant to be put away. This is going to turn into interesting flavours and develop into interesting flavours as it ages. But I think it's pretty much right now. It's banging.
Yeah, no, I reckon it's definitely I'd be drinking it now.
But that was a really good question. That was a fantastic question.
So, if you would like to have your favourite winery or maybe a winery that you've popped into once upon a time and you'd like them to be on the show, or you know of an amazing local restaurant that you think their food would pair really well, or even on the restaurateur knows a lot about wine, then let's get them on the show. Let us know, throw the comments up, send us an email, message on Facebook, whatever it is, and we'll try and get them on the show. Now, if obviously we've been pushing people to come down. I've been down to the cellar door. I know how much fun it is.
I know, it is fun. I kick everyone out at 9 o'clock though. I'm really bossy.
Usually in bed.
It's 9 o'clock. It's like, go home.
But great for an afternoon.
Oh, and really fantastic to come down if you're going out to dinner.
Yeah.
So you can come to us, you can have an aperitivo, you can have a glass of wine, you can try and taste a new producer or taste some of our wine, and then go on to dinner. And
get educated while you're there.
Yeah, but in a really, really normal, this is wine for normal people. It's not, we like, you might be sitting next to a winemaker at our cellar door, but everybody's there to have a good time and to learn, because the more you know about wine, the less you know about wine. True. Nobody ever knows everything about wine. It takes a long time. And I'm getting pretty old these days, so I've been in the game for 40 years. And I keep going down wormholes. There's always more to learn.
Now, speaking about learning, I've been hanging to bring this up, but I didn't know really how to phrase it without embarrassing you or talking you up too much. But
that's right.
I heard a rumour, it might have been from Gary, that you are one of the only Australian and one of the very few in the world too hot. I don't know what the exact award is, but
Okay.
Italian.
So I'm an Italian wine expert with Vinitaly Academy, and I'm one of only 15 people in the world and the only Australian to pass the Italian wine expert exam. So I get to do some really fun things in Italy. I get to go and talk on panels and talk about grapes and geek out. But
Yeah,
I
that's pretty-
love Italian wines.
Oh, hang on. Luke's put another. I think he's after a bottle of wine, Luke.
We-
Are you doing any live music too?
We do from time to time, Luke, not every week, but we do have, I think the last group we have is the Yearlings. They played at our place, which was fantastic. We have our favourites. We have Wayne that comes in and plays a lot, and also Bombay, they come and play a fair bit. So yeah, we do have some music, but it's really sort of it's more about the ambience and camaraderie and having a great time, and the music's sort of more in the background.
And
But we have a really good playlist because we've got really good taste in music.
you've always had good taste in music.
Yeah, I know.
But
For a long way ago. That's so good. Sorry, I've got
isn't
a
no,
mashed potato.
have some more. So we've got to talk about who's on the show for next week.
Oh, who's on the show for next week?
I'm not real sure. Oh, yes, I am. Of course, I am. Fox Creek are on the show for next week.
Stephen comes to our place all the time.
Does he?
He's amazing. We had a really great. He's a great winemaker. He's making some really cool wines.
Yeah.
we had
And so Stephen
and Ben
Tansey,
Tanza, fantastic.
great winemaker.
Soap's great.
And
Ask me about Nera d'Avola. He loves it.
all right, maybe you could fire him a question next week.
I will fire him a question.
one that's really difficult to answer or something. Put him on the spot.
He's a great guy.
No, they are great blokes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Where can us know this? Oh, online, Adam. Yep, online. Just call us. If you just call us, we'll always send some down.
Or just come down to the...
No, give us a call. We'll send it down. We send it everywhere.
So we've got to talk about the deal. What deal have you got for the punters?
So what we've got is we don't usually split this. So we've got we're going to do just for your people. We're going to be doing 3 bottles for $30. So this one's normally $20 a bottle at the cellar door, but you get 3 for $30. If you want to give us a call, and we can arrange for you.
So all they've got to do is mention they saw it on SA Wine Weekly?
On SA Wine Weekly. Give me a call at the cellar door, or flick me an email, and we can arrange to get some wine to you. And so we're only doing it 3 packs for you because it's normally 6 packs.
Oh, that's excellent. Thanks very much. I did see a comment there about, I thought Jerry flicked away really quickly, was what's the best wine to drink when the Lions are winning?
Who are the Lions?
The Brisbane Lions.
Oh, sorry.
Right, last time Jill
Pardon
comes
my,
on.
that's it.
Ah.
Radi, hey, I do send interstate, Radi, and definitely for you. This is Nathan's sister, by the way.
Well, maybe I could bring up some catnip to drink with Radi, and whilst I'm watching the Lions win.
Well, you could.
I
You
could
could.
do that, couldn't I?
You
If you're allowed to travel. So we've got to, once again, Angelo, we've got to pump his tyres up.
Grazie mille, Angelo, from Di Trattoria Di Roma.
Did such a great job, didn't
He
he?
did a great job. This is such good food.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to have to say we're going to wrap it up. I think we could talk to
Well
Jill.
past my bedtime.
Oh, we could talk to you all night, and I could actually learn something. So my special guest, Gill Gordon Smith, Fall from Grace. Thanks heaps for coming on. I really appreciate
It's
it.
really cool. Thanks for the questions.
See you next week, guys. 8 o'clock. Facebook Live.